Now, you have to have a bra before you can see a house. What is a bra? That's not what you wear as a woman. Buyer representation agreement. Without it, you can't even see any houses anymore. So there's no such a thing as you go to one of the websites, 5 p.m. I want to see that house, click, and somebody just magically show up to show you the house. That doesn't happen anymore. You have to have a buyer representation agreement in order to see a house. So in today's video, I'm gonna share the big changes in very simple form. I'm not gonna go into like 20-minute change, but very simple changes. And then checklist for the buyers, what you should look in that agreement, and what kind of realistic expectation that you should have, and what's happening right now. And then things to know when you're thinking about these things. What happens when the seller offers more than what you agreed on or less than what you agreed on, and who's paying what. And then lastly, I'll touch on just briefly how to find the buyer's agent, because now finding buyer's agent is much more serious business. You can't fire them as easily because you are signing this contract. Welcome back to Shawn Realty Podcast. My name is Shawn Yu from Portland, Oregon. On X, I'm going by Shawn the Realty guy. So there's a lot of confusions right now. Realtors are confused too. And signing this agreement is putting a lot of friction between the buyers, like committing to work with the buyer's agent. And for the buyer side, it feels still uncomfortable, keep asking for this agreement, even with the clients who I actually am working with. So a couple days ago, the BRA expired, so I had to send another one. And I had to remind them, because if we don't have that, we as agent, we are basically not following the rule of the NAR settlement that happened last year in 2024. So here are the big changes. There are 3 big changes that I can think of right now. And if I can think of anything else, I'll add. So BRA, Buyer's Agent Representation Agreement, has to be signed before you can see one house even. This includes like virtual, like live tours to like FaceTime. You have to have it. The only exclusion is that if you go into an open house, or if you call the seller's agent directly to ask them to show you a house, you may not need to sign this, because that seller's agent, they're representing the seller, but you're at that point going in as unrepresented, so you're not going in with a representation of your own, kind of like walking into a court without an attorney, in my opinion. Number 2, BAC cannot be predetermined or advertised on MLS, but it's okay to advertise anywhere else. So seller's agent can put it on their website, but they cannot put in MLS, which is the craziest rule. You can put it on the sign, you can put it on whatever, but you're not supposed to put in MLS. MLS is the target here right now. So to kind of elaborate this, in the past, the seller's agent pre-negotiated the buyer's agent's fee with the seller when they get the listing. So all the buyers had to do was just have a buyer's agent, and buyer's agent fee was already in place in MLS, like whatever percentage. So the negotiation was done when the seller's agent was making an agreement with the seller before the house even was listed. But now that has to be done when the buyers are meeting the buyer's agent. And if buyer is hoping the seller will use the seller's concession to pay their buyer's agent, that needs to be negotiated when they write the offer. So it became more cumbersome. It became more inefficient. It became more dumb. But going back to this, so before they predetermined, and then they can just make an offer, and the seller's agent paid out shared the commission with the buyer's agent. Now, again, the buyer has to do that work. That's that is exactly why buyers are having sort of like a reluctant, or they're being careful. They don't want to sign with anybody, because what if that buyer's agent isn't good? What if they don't work well? What if they don't, communicate well, or they're not a good negotiator, or they're not available? They can show you the house when you want to see the house. I mean, there's so many things that could go wrong. That's why buyers are feeling it. But I want to touch on this too. The agents are feeling it too. Agents are wondering, what if these buyers, they work with me for like 3 months, and then since we don't have any, since I didn't sign any, termination fee, what if they just ditch me and just go work with someone else? Agents are wondering about that too. So we have to now. I mean, it goes both ways. That's what I'm trying to say. It has to have like a mutual respect. But I'll touch on that a little bit more later. So going back to changes. So those are the three changes. The BRA needs to be signed before seeing a house, and the BAC, the buyer's agent's commission, cannot be predetermined. It cannot be on MLS, but it's okay to advertise anywhere else. And the BAC needs to be negotiated between the buyer and buyer's agent first, and then in offer making process. So those are three changes. Here are the checklist for you as a buyer. When you sign the BRA, what's included in that? So this is based on Oregon, the buyer's agent's agreement. There has to be expiration date. You need to set a time. So one way to do this is that if you want to work with them maybe for a day or two, you may be able to sign, if the buyer's agent agree with you, to sign maybe 2 day, maybe 1 day, one Saturday. Let's go and check out like 2 houses. It's kind of like meeting somebody at an open house in the past, right? Hey, can you show me? Maybe we can work for 1 day and then see if we're the right fit. I think that might have a good way of checking out the agent and how they communicate, how they show up, what kind of dress they wear, or whatever. But I think that could be, then the expiration date will be just 1 day. It will expire tomorrow, and then you can maybe extend it if you like this agent. Now, the second thing is that whether it's a flat fee or percentage of the sale price, but it cannot be open-ended. So it cannot be such as whatever the amount the seller is agreeing to pay. You just cannot leave it open-ended like that. And then the third one that you need to see is the early termination fee. If you cancel, let's say you sign like 6 months contract, and then you have to cancel in 2 months because of whatever reason, your financing change, job change, you're not buying anymore, whatever the reason, or the agent isn't good, or you don't want to work with this agent, what happens when you cancel it? And that's kind of tricky one, but it'll be harder for the buyers to agree on a certain fee on this, because firing or not working with someone has to be mutual as well. But anyways, yeah. So that you need to take a look at that. And if there's any like a non-refundable fee, kind of like attorney's retainer fee type of thing, if they don't buy anything, do you have to pay anything, right? So you need to look at that too. And then there has to be the tasks the buyer's agents are going to do for you. Honest dealing, communication, show you certain house. They need to be available at a certain time. The more laid out, the better, I think. So you're on the same expectation. And then and then what happens when the seller offers concession toward the BAC, buyer's agent's commission? Then the question is like, let me actually touch on it now. So what happens if you agree 3% with your agent, your buyer's agent, and if the seller is offering 2%, 1% less than what you agreed on? This is where you have to look at it carefully. That agreement may say the buyer's agent will take just 2% and just not worry about that extra 1%, or it may say the buyer has to make up the difference. So the agent is getting paid 3% no matter what, or the agent may be okay with 2%. So that has to be very specific. And this is where big confusion is right now. So you as a consumer, you need to know what happens if the seller pays less than what you agreed on. Now, what if seller pays more than 3% that you agreed on 3%? Let's say they offer 4% to the buyer's agent. By law, the buyer's agent cannot take that additional 1% right now. So they can only get paid up to what you agreed on with this BRA. That's the important portion. And then the follow-up question is, can I then go ahead and change the agreement based on what they offer? So if I go to this house, they say they're going to offer 3%, we change the 3%. And then the next house, they're only offering 2%. So can I maybe do 2% or maybe 20%? I keep changing that BRA. That's something that they specifically disallowed. They're not allowing it. It's hailing like crazy. What the hell? I don't know if you can hear, but I don't know if you can see it. But anyways, this such a wide angle lens. You just saw my whole room there. Man, here's the Portland weather, guys. The spring, you don't know what you're gonna get. Shine, rain or shine, and hail and snow and rain and shine again, several times a day. Maybe I need to have a sip of coffee. Sorry, I'm just completely sidetracked. Wow. Anyways, so the other way to say it is that buyer's agents can only get paid up to that amount. So if the buyer agents, let's say, agree on a 2.5%, and the seller is offering 3%, can they get the 0.5% extra? Unfortunately, they can't. They can't. And yeah, it's kind of weird situation, in my opinion. So there's no such thing as paying bonus to buyer's agent because they did a great job or whatever. Oh boy, Mike, I hope they're pretty big. Anyways, let's go back and talk about more important stuff. Who cares about the weather? So let's talk about 9 things to know. The first thing is any fees in this case is fully negotiable. That's something that the laws basically, that's the main reason why the lawsuit happened, and it's settled that way in a very dumb way. But it is law, so we have to follow it. And then the other part that I mentioned earlier is that there has to be mutual respect, in my opinion, and loyalty too. Because I think, as I mentioned, the buyer's agents are feeling very insecure right now. And it is hard work for the buyers. And me as a buyer's agent, what's going to happen if these buyers are getting tired of working with me? I do think about that because the market has been tough. I mean, I know they're not blaming me for losing in multiple offer situation, but me as a buyer's agent, my subconscious mind is like, are they thinking that? And then now here I have to renew this agreement with them. So it goes both way. The agents are kind of having tough times here. Third, much more serious vetting and buyer's agents finding. And as I mentioned earlier, it's not easy to find the buyer's agent, which I'll talk to you at the end of this video, how to find the buyer's agent, good buyer's agent. So you have to spend more time upfront, interview multiple agents possibly, and find the best one. because canceling that may not be as easy or may not be as comfortable. And let's see, 3%, if I just talked about whether you get more or not. And can you change? Yeah, I talked about that. You cannot change. Once you signed it, it's done. In person and virtual, yes, it requires bra. And when you don't need bra, when you talk to an open house, right? So here's one thing. So when you go into an open house, you don't need bra. You can go naked. No, I'm kidding. You don't need BRA because the open house agent is representing the seller, so they have their own agreement, and there's no other agents who are going to get paid. That agent is getting paid from the seller, right? So you are just going in as unrepresented. And then if you ask the seller's agent, let's say you call the sign and says, hey seller's agent, can you show me your listing? In that case, you may not have to sign that agreement with that agent for that one house, because again, the agreement is already in place between the seller's agent and the homeowner. And yeah, I mean, if you choose to work with this one agent and you give all your respect and be courteous to their time, they will treat you the same. They will treat you with the respect, and they'll try to do the best job for you. And it goes both ways. And for me, I'll just share one experience. I've been working with this one buyer for more than a year. And we made about probably half a dozen offers. Probably have seen close to about 20 homes in the last about 12 months. So if these buyers, they say, hey Shawn, we don't want to work with you anymore, I'll be heartbroken. I'll be financially broken too, because I invested good 3 months full-time work for these buyers. So if you're going to just abuse or take advantage of these buyer's agent by saying, when you're not really committed, you signed an agreement and cancel it after like 3 months, it actually hurts their business a lot, because buyer's agents actually work harder than the listing agents a lot of times, especially when you're working for more than like 3-4 months, and especially when there's a lot of like competition and they have to show a lot of homes. The buyer's agent don't have weekends, nights sometimes. I mean, I write offers at 11 p.m. quite often. So yeah, and that's that. And let's talk about now how to find a great buyer's agent. It's not easy finding great buyer's agent, because all the listings, portals, these are geared toward the listing agent, because listing is the product. The listing agents gets the fame, right? The buyer's agent don't get the fame because they don't have listing. So the way to find is go to places like Zillow maybe, and go to the sold listing, previous sold listing. If you look at the history, you can see where the areas that you're looking for a home, you'll find some agents who close, who represent the buyer, hopefully. Or you may do like, agent, find an agent in your search or zip code, wherever you're looking, and then look at their reviews. If you look at their reviews, you specifically look for the buyer's testimonials. If the buyer's testimonial is not there, that means they only represent the seller. You don't want to hire that agent. But you see, if there's a bunch of buyers saying, wow, this guy is the best, we work with, things that I look for are like, we bought like 3 homes with this guy in the last 10 years. He's the best. He is always patient. He is always educating us. Super calm. He's never pushy. He's a great negotiator. He seems always available. He always respects me. He always do this. He never does. Those are the things that you're looking for, specifically like that. And especially ones who work with the multiple agents. We work with like 5 different agents for the last whatever, and he's by far the best. Those are good reviews. And then you might want to ask how many years they've been selling. I think that's important, because if you're a brand new agent, if they're a brand new agent, their experience or the knowledge may be somewhat limited. Yes, they can get educated, but I think now it's more important to work with the experienced agent, whether it's the market valuation, the market knowledge, the homeowners, the home inspection, like negotiation portion. There's a lot going into it. To know everything as a rookie agent, it's really tough. So on that note, so when you're talking about rookie agents, a lot of new agents they end up joining the teams. So I talked to recently my one of my past clients. He was looking for other buyer's agent out of state, and he apparently talked to some big time agent in that part of town selling a lot of listings. And the downside of calling those big listing agents is that they tend to have, when they have a lot of listings, they tend to have teams. They tend to have like a buyer's agent. Some of those buyer's agents are great, especially the ones that are with them for a long enough time. But if they're just like new agent, they just joined the team less than a year ago and they're brand new agent, and you're working with that agent, the service level may not be at the same as working with who been working for like 10 years. I mean, that's just basic economical data here. And kind of like, like salary based agents at certain brokerages, they have to do the volume work, and typically the newer agents tend to join those companies or the teams too. So if you're calling the teams, you may want to ask who you're going to work with in the first place, because you're not going to work with a team lead who is the listing agent mainly, and you need to know who you're going to work with as their buyer's agent. So this is kind of sticky topic here, but I'm just sharing what I know in the real estate industry. And if that buyer's agent in the team is less than 1 year of selling experience, it's a little bit tricky. Let's be honest. So, but if they've been with the team for like 5, 6, 7 years, then you'll be in good hands. And then the other thing you want to ask is, where do they live? And not like specifically which house, but which part of town that they live in. Because in my opinion, like for example in Oregon, if the agent is living in Gresham and they want to show a house in Bethany, that takes about 50 minutes to about an hour just to go to the house. Will that agent be available all the time to show you the house? Probably not. So I would hire a buyer's agent at least about 20 minutes driving distance from the area that you're looking to buy. It's just, again, basic common sense here. And then you want to, call them or text them or email them and see how they communicate. Do they communicate the way you can easily understand them? Do they explain things well? Do they seem like they sound like they know what they're doing? So, and multiple times. And this is a good way to vet people. This is what I do with finding contractors or other people, is that how do they communicate? Are they kind? Are they punctual? Are they detail oriented? Are they intelligent? And these can be done by multiple communication: email, long email, short text, a call. Are they brief? Are they concise? Are they to the point? Are they try to be conscious of your time? Are they on time, showing up? All those things can actually translate into a good agent who is going to represent you. That agent is going to make an offer to the seller's agent and seller, and they have to representing it. They're communicating to the other side. So I think it has to be really good representation of who you are. So it's very subjective. So you as a buyer, what kind of things how you want to be represented? You want to be warm and fuzzy sort of agent that, who can communicate to the seller like that? Or you want like, hey, I want this number. I'm like, let's get it done. Like, let's go type of agent. So that has to have some balance too. I'm not saying they have to be same as you, but a good balance. But more importantly, they have to be professional. They have to be courteous. They have to be great communicator. They have to know the pricing. They have to know the contract work. They have to know the repairs, negotiation, and tough negotiator with a soft outer, So I mean, all these things can really help you. The other thing, I actually don't have it here, but really important thing is, are they, caring fiduciary? Yeah. Did I just say two same word or not? Probably not. So there's the best knowledgeable agent, the best skilled agent doesn't mean they're most caring agent. So this is where the previous buyer's testimonial is going to really play in, because buyers will express what kind of caring agents they are. When people are caring, they will go extra miles. They'll do extra work. They put a little bit more time on pricing, finding comps, recommending you the price. Spend a little bit more time talking to the agent, try to get more information, try to set you up for the best negotiation position. That's where skill and how much do they care about their clients go hand in hand, basically. So and the other thing is, you need to meet them too, right? You need to meet them, talk to them, and see if you want to work with them. I mean, obviously you have to like them first. It's much easier when you're working with an agent who you like. And, so I cover so much here. I hope this makes sense to you. To go over, so you don't need actual BRA, but you need BRA to go see a house going forward. And it needs to be signed before you see a house. The exclusion is calling the listing agent directly. And the buyer agent commission cannot be predetermined or advertised on MLS, but you may see it on the sign. And the BAC needs to be negotiated between the buyer and buyer's agent, unlike in the past between seller and seller's agent. You need to know about the expiration date, whether it's a flat fee or a percentage of the sale price, but not open-ended. Is there early termination fee? Is there non-refundable fees when it's canceled? And when you decide not to work with them, when you terminate them, the contract, what kind of outcome, what kind of fees, what kind of penalty, right? And what buyer's agent's going to do for you, what kind of task, what kind of work that they're going to do. It needs to be clarified. And then what happens when the seller's concession covers the buyer's agent's commission? When they pay more than what you agreed on, they cannot get it. When they pay less, then who's going to make up the difference? That detail is really important. And commission is always fully negotiable. And the other thing is, on this part, the way I explain to my buyers is that, let's say we agree on 3% between the buyer and I, but the seller only offers 2%. And when you write an offer, you wrote in 3% and the seller says, no, I'm only offering 2%. At that point, it's another negotiating point. You talk to your agent. Hey, are you okay with 2%? I really like the house. Then agent might say yes or no. Or, according to our agreement, you have to pay me the additional 1%. Or, well, I'm not going to ask you for that. Let's go with 2%. You like the house, let's go for it. So it's another negotiation point. If it doesn't work, there's no deal. So there's no deal, basically. So it has to have another negotiation happening there. So until that is fully mutually agreed there's no deal, that means there's no obligation in a sense. Let's see. And I just want to reiterate that, you got to have the mutual respect with your agent, and agent, to you guys, agent needs to obviously respect our clients. And then how to find the buyer's agent, look for previous buyers testimonials, where they sold as a buyer's agent. Do they have like a reference that they can, so you can maybe call their previous client? I'll be happy to give you my reference. I'm sure my past clients would love to tell me about my work and how great guy I am. And how many years of selling. Are they part of a team? Are they individual agent? And which part of town that they're living in for the better commute time when they show a home. And then talk to them, communicate with them, and see what kind of people they are, and communicator and negotiator and skill salesman that they are. And then you decide. And then you might want to do that 1-day agreement. One last thing here is that there's exclusive agreement and non-exclusive agreement. I wouldn't recommend non-exclusive when you are choosing a buyer's agent, because let's say you're working with a 5 buyer's agent. I doubt that you're gonna find five agents who will sign that with you, but at the same time, none of them might be looking out for your best interest, meaning like actively looking for listings online, checking computers every day. They may not do that because they don't know whether they're gonna get the deal or not. So man, this was a long video. If you watched this far, please hit the like button and subscribe. That's gonna help my channel greatly. I hope this was helpful. I hope this gives you a better understanding of what you're signing into, what kind of agreement that you're doing, so it can give you more, better understanding and less confusion, and so that you can get one step closer to your home ownership. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. It's been a crazy weather day. You just saw it hailed in Portland, and the sunshine like on my face like this. So thank you so much. I'll see you on the next video.